Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
We continue to follow a developing story out of Fergus Falls. New court documents tell a terrible story of abuse and neglect that ended with the death of 6-year-old Justice Ray Berland.
Bobby Bishop and Walter Weinhoff remain in the Otter Tail County Jail tonight, each facing counts of murder, manslaughter, and the malicious punishment of a child. Tonight, we learn new details about the suffering that Justice endured 8 months leading up to his death.
Valley News Team's Veronica Marshall tells us more about the alleged abuser that he called Mom.
I met the boys. I lived with them for 3 days, and that's all I could handle.
Anita Smith lives in Utah now, but for a brief period last year, she lived in Fergus Falls with Bobby Bishop, Walter Weinhoff, Justice Berland, and his brother, and witnessed the abuse firsthand.
She hit one of the boys upside the head, and I just had enough at that point.
Smith says she grew up with Bishop, who was always unstable.
Her moods changed constantly as if she were a child.
But Smith says it was Bishop's behavior towards children that caused concern, and that behavior didn't change when it came to the children she was supposed to protect.
When it came to the kids, they always were doing bad, or they had bad intentions, or whatever the case may be. One time I watched her throw Justice, the one that is deceased, I watched her throw him across the kitchen and slap him upside the head for throwing a water bottle in the garbage. They were good kids. I didn't see why she was hitting them like she was.
After watching the abuse, Smith says she contacted Child Protective Services and the Sheriff's Office.
I gave them a full statement of everything I seen. They did open an investigation, but they would not give me any information after that.
Now she wants justice.
It's been a long time coming. She's been warned multiple times that she's going to kill one of them kids, and then it happens. I just want justice for justice.
In Fergus Falls, Veronica Marshall, Valley News Live.
As we're learning more about Bobby Bishop, we're also learning about the circumstances surrounding Justice's time in her care. The documents say Justice was living with Bobby Bishop and Walter Weinhoff for 8 months before his death. The court documents detail a range of abuse Justice allegedly suffered, being beaten with a belt, duct taped to a wall, and hospital staff saw signs of injury from scalding water. According to the documents, Bishop and Weinhoff would beat and restrain Justice and his brother, and that behavior escalated to as many as 20 beatings in 1 month. The abuse came to a head Monday morning. That's when Bishop says Weinhoff told her he slapped Justice because he'd, quote, never been so mad at a child. Bishop checked on the 6-year-old and says he was groggy, had slurred speech, and a red mark on the side of his face. Justice was brought to the Fergus Falls Hospital, but by then he was unconscious and not breathing. In the documents, officers say Justice had marks on his body from head to toe, and his wounds were infected. Hospital staff were unable to revive him. Now, we didn't mention all the details found in the court documents due to their graphic and disturbing nature, but you can read them on our website, valleynewslive.com.
Turning to the weather, I noticed some raindrops falling earlier tonight, and there's a little bit of winter moving through the region, which for some could make the morning commute a slick one. Let's go to Hutch to hear about the overnight forecast. Hutch?
Yes, roads are getting wet across the FM area. We're not getting a lot of rain, but things are getting soaked out there, and temperatures are close to freezing, so we could have some slippery conditions even here. Here's a look at Highway 1 near Binford. Flakes flying horizontally there. The radar shows most of the snow is north, but I'm expecting a transition or at least a mix with some snow here in the south. So we will have to be prepared for some slippery roads in the morning as temperatures are hovering close to freezing, with the exception of our far southern counties. The snow continues for northwest Minnesota through the overnight. That's where we'll see some slushy 0 to 2 inch totals. Fargo, I think we'll have barely anything on the ground in the morning other than some wet slush and some ice possibly. Drive carefully on your way to work. All details and the rest of your forecast coming up here in just a minute. We'll have a look at that weekend potential storm.
All right, thanks, Hutch. Taxpayers in the West Fargo School District could be asked sometime next year to approve building more schools. The district continues to deal with overcrowding, and a long-range facilities task force is considering a referendum that would pay for another high school, a middle school, and elementary school additions. School Superintendent Dr. David Flowers says the district could bond $100 million without raising the mill levy. Flowers says he's confident in the community, but adds that this is heavy lifting because it requires 60% approval to pass. Voters in 2015 did say yes to a $98.1 million bond that also addressed continued growth.
A father whose little girl was taken by her mother is now fighting for stricter parental abduction laws. It's been just over a year since Claire Cooney, a Perham, Minnesota girl abducted by her mother, was returned to her father safe and sound. Last year, Claire's mother broke her custody agreement when she fled with Claire to Tennessee. They were living off the grid, along with the mother's boyfriend, a wanted felon. Brian Cooney says he's been speaking with lawmakers to give the law some teeth.
Changing the deprivation of parental rights law or rewording it or whatever so that there's more prosecutions, make it easier for prosecutors to charge people, and make it easier for law enforcement to send it to the district attorney's desk.
Cooney says he's also trying to get Amber Alerts expanded to parents like him. Cooney couldn't get one when his daughter disappeared, since Claire's mother had custody of their daughter at the time.
Several people in our area are posting to the neighborhood website Nextdoor. They're upset about misdirected mail and packages being tossed into their driveways several feet away from their porch.
Valley News Team's Joseph Ojo tracked down residents who say they are fed up with the issue.
Filed a complaint when the package was thrown.
In a home surveillance video at the Fox Run resident Andy Bergeron's house, a postal worker was captured a couple feet away from his porch, launching a package into his doorway and then taking off. Believing a complaint would have just solved only his family's delivery issue, he and his wife posted to Nextdoor about their delivery experience to make others aware.
On Nextdoor, yeah, we've seen posts over the last year or two about mail delivery in our area.
Sick and tired of getting mail that is not their own, other residents are also speaking out.
I got a package a few days ago. I think it might have been yesterday, but I'm not sure. That wasn't for us.
People not getting their mail or people getting wrong mail. I know we get wrong mail all the time.
In his wife's post to the neighborhood site, she explains how she was never able to get anyone from the Prairie Wood Post Office station to answer her calls, even though she had made multiple attempts.
When she tried to call them back, they never answered, and then we filed another complaint through the United States Postal Service.
Other resident responses we looked up range from how packages were left in their garage doors and not on their front steps, and also how many times workers of the Prairie Wood station will leave their mailboxes wide open. So we called and attempted to get a comment from the Prairie Wood Post Office station, and for over 2 minutes, the phone rang without an answer, leaving residents in this neighborhood with even more questions. In Fargo, Joseph Ojo, Valley News Live.
If you have concerns with mail delivery in your neighborhood, you can email the United States Postal Service. For a link to their website, head over to valleynewslive.com and click on this story.
Hundreds of players, coaches, and fans are in Fargo for some hard-hitting action. What it takes to be a roller hockey champ later on Valley News Live at 10.
Up next, our so-called pocket dial conversations, considered private or not. Hear the story of one man being fired after accidentally pocket dialing his boss.